Welcome back to this mostly untitled series of videos that I do wherein I usually unbox something and talk about it a little bit. I have most recently talked about how, where did I do that? The most recent episode of Ryan Runs, so 28 it would have been. I've talked about how these particular videos will see a little bit of improvement. I know I've kind of pushed them off to the side because they typically deal with things I don't want to go into like a ton of detail on, even though they are usually things that could benefit from a ton of detail, but I just don't want to be one of those. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, but more along the lines of what these things mean to Ryan Runs, why I purchased them, my very specific use case, whatever it might be with things. So in that way, these will improve a little bit. I might finally actually title the whole thing and give it a series and make it official. But for now, since I don't usually do videos like these, this one is going to be about something I've been sitting on. If you went to the Patreon and saw some of the free posts I did about PAX last year, I went and in those posts I talked about how it was mostly about the Panic booth for me this year. Panic is a developer, amongst other things you can see on their website here, but they have made Firewatch, a game I greatly enjoyed. They also made Untitled Goose Game, a game that was probably my favorite game of that year. I don't know that I played it in the year that it came out. If I had, it would have been. But also this year at the PAX booth, pretty much every day I went back, it was a 4-day thing again. I picked another game of theirs to play. One of them was, in fact, ta-da! They were giving away these really nice postcards, and I'm missing a few already, and I didn't play Arco, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But Time Flies was kind of a spiritual successor to Goose Game. It has a lot of, not the same mechanics, but kind of the same format. And you play a fly in Senegal, and it's amazing, and I can't wait for it. Thank Goodness You're Here was another one that I can't wait for. In fact, some of these might already be out. My video game has definitely slipped as of late, but there's also Noir. I didn't end up playing it, but it's this really strange looking food grinding game. I don't know. And then the biggest surprise of the bunch was Despelote, which I played and then figured out it was in Ecuador and figured out it was extremely familiar version of Ecuador. So I went and talked to the guy and I was like, hey, why is this game in Ecuador? And at the time, I guess it was just the guy running the booth, which I should know his name by now because we talked for a good, like 5 PAXs ago when the Playdate was still in development. They had it on display and I waited in line. Spoiler alert, the Playdate's in here. But I waited in line to play it and had a good long conversation with him. Not that he'd remember me, and again, PAX is very, very busy, but had another conversation with him again this time, and he said that the actual developer of Despelote had already left. But I was like, why is this in Ecuador? He's like, oh, because the developer's from Ecuador. And I was like, oh, when does it take place? And he's like, 2001. And I said, this is, again, all in those Patreon posts that I wrote out. I go into more detail. But I was in Ecuador in 2001. So it was a crazy occurrence, to say the least. But looking forward to every single one of those games. What does this have to do with anything? Panic is just one of my favorite businesses in video games out there right now, developer, publisher, whatever. So it came as no surprise that I would end up with a Playdate at some point. And it wasn't actually at PAX. In fact, I successfully staved off my desire to get one, even though I did play it more than a few times. But by the time I got home and saw that they were promising, in fact, I felt bad. They were like, it'll be there by Christmas, it'll be there by Christmas. And I got it by Christmas, no doubt, but then sat on it until today. So I've got to do an unboxing, maybe talk a little bit more about it, because it is a really unique device that you've no doubt heard about to some extent at this point. because it seems so weird in an Xbox, PlayStation world, but think about it more along the lines of a Nintendo. And I think one of the reasons why you look at a Nintendo and it still stands out when compared to an Xbox or a PlayStation that are usually much more powerhouse consoles with, some would say, more adult type video games, but try and find a Nintendo game that an adult hasn't played to some extent or knows about to some extent, especially since all us adults now are Mario educated. But the Playdate is more along the lines of that philosophy. Nintendo started out as a toy company and, for better or worse, has stuck with, for better, sorry, I don't want to be too much of a downer here. Certainly, for better, has really stuck to its roots in that way. That's why a lot of their devices, certainly since the Wii, as maybe kind of a rebirth for the company of sorts. I don't know if they were in dire straits. Nintendo as a company also works very differently from Microsoft and Sony, but they, with the launch of the Wii, saw a much needed injection. And the Wii U, not so much. But since then, I think it's become incredibly obvious that they are a toy company first and foremost, and the Switch I don't think is any different. So think about the Playdate more along those lines. So let's tear into it. Honestly, I'm hoping it's still got some charge. Again, this has been sitting in the box for a few. Oh, and I am a fool. I am an absolute fool. Made by Panic in cooperation with Teenage Engineering. Of course, and I haven't even opened the thing yet, but Teenage Engineering is, I guess, a pretty niche group still, but every single device they put out is just absolutely gorgeous. Again, how could you not just, how could I not figure out that's what was going on with this? It's incredibly solid. Let's see if it turns on, assuming that's the on button. Yeah, it might be dead. Let's see what else is in the box, and then if I have to charge it to put it through its initial paces, I will. Looks like it comes with a USB-C cord that I'll likely never need, because of course I've got a million of those already. So back in the box with you, but also a neat little welcome. Thank you so much for playing or buying Playdate. To get started, press lock. It's on top. So yeah, that's probably what that was, meaning this has probably died in the months it's sat inside. So let me plug it in real quick and we'll be back. Even better, I've got one of these portable banks. So let's plug it in. Obviously charging there. And let that go for a few, maybe while I make my way through the rest of this little manual here. Tips: to use the crank, pull it out from the bottom, then flip it all the way up. Easy. Yeah, so one of the main, I hate using the word gimmick every time I use the word gimmick, but obviously one of the standout features of this little device is going to be the crank. But we'll get into that certainly more here. Press the menu button to pause a game, access options, or return home. It's not only hard to read upside down, it's hard to center it within the frame while reading it upside down. Make your own game. Visit Playdate/dev. So I have done that because my dream with this, I'll admit, when I initially got it was hey, this would be really easy to create a music box, quote-unquote game. You know, something that probably wasn't actually a game, but I could give to my special needs son and be like, hey, just turn the crank and it'll play a little song for you, much like a music box. But from what I've seen, the actual dev tools on play.date/dev do not accommodate such a thing. Maybe I should dive in more to that, but looks like for sleep mode, press the lock button on top to pause your game and put Playdate to sleep. The screen uses very little power during sleep mode, don't worry, which I can imagine, because if you haven't noticed yet, not backlit, which, I'll tell you what, actually kind of like. You know, as cool as the Game Boys were, I don't think there's going to be any temptation to kind of sit. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any temptation kind of ever to sit and play with this thing for hours. I like that I can keep it on my desk, pick it up for 15 minutes at a time, see what game, you know, try a game. again, for the reason that I see the kind of spot or role that this plays as far as having a toy on your desk, almost like the best fidget spinner you've ever seen. All right, this has plenty of charge on it now, but I'm gonna be honest, it's a couple days later. I went through the entire setup process and then realized there was actually a pretty darn good solution for capturing the screen. So that's set up now. I tried a factory reset, but it didn't set everything back to quite how it was before. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back, replay the intro for you. Because if anything, I mean, spoiler alert, you're still gonna have this in your hand, so it's still gonna feel great, but this intro is one of a kind. So I actually also got a graphic that I can put up here that's gonna make this look a lot better than it does on camera regardless. So here goes. You don't feel good about buying it after that. I don't know what's going to do it for you, honestly. Normally when you boot it up, and again, it's going to connect to Wi-Fi and there's account stuff. You'll sign up online and stuff like that. So I don't think you needed to see that anyways, but FYI, if you're wondering how it connects to the internet, it is a Wi-Fi device. These 4 were not here when I first started. There were only 2, and that's kind of part of the season 1 worth of games you can see right there. These 2 down below, I downloaded after the fact from the catalog. They're actually 2 free games. So I don't know if that's all the free games there are, but I actually haven't tried to play those yet. So each time one downloads, and at the lock screen, it'll give you a little blurb saying that new games are available if you haven't downloaded them yet. But they'll download in these packages like this, and then you'll just open them up. Boogie Loops did not play. Let's do these all so I can play at least the one I tried originally. This one I have played at both PAXs where I played the Playdate. It's the one by Takahashi, the Katamari guy. Casual Birder was one of the ones, so it looks like these are going in newest to oldest. But the one I actually played the last time I did this was Whitewater Wipeout. I like it because it'll also showcase the crank a little bit. So, like California games, I believe, you just want to come back in a vertical position. But like actual surfing, you can like do some of this stuff. I don't actually surf. Yep. Okay. Well, I guess that was actually like surfing for me. So again, there's kind of a WarioWare aspect to them. Not to beat the Nintendo horse over the head too much here, but with the WarioWare games, part of the fun was always the very kind of, they're micro games, but also with micro learning curves. Sometimes you only have a matter of seconds before you have to figure out how to beat the game. But I see a lot of that in these games, which I have still only played 2 of at this point. I'll do one more. Let's try one of these free games, actually. Real Steel, based on the A+ movie of the same title, I would hope, but I think might involve fishing based on that title screen. Which, hey, also got to be a natural match for this one. In the year 20XX, 99% of the world's wealth resides in the mansion fortress of 5 billion. 20, is that 2024? Do they just reclaim and redistribute that lucre? Angler hires a unique crew of misfit thieves. Latest in fishing tech, a lot of cunning, and they might pull it off. This isn't just the deep end. This is swimming with sharks. This is real still. Heck of an intro. Good gosh, I'm sold. Beat the game to unlock new thieves. I hope you're getting an idea for the quality of the screen here. It is deceptively nice. I'm not going to read here everything for you, but Kill-de-sac is a pretty great name for anything. Arguably, I should not read any of this for an actual video that normal people might want to get through. The Mona Lisa. We're stealing the Mona Lisa. Okay, Kill-de-sac looks like the overworld map. The arts are overfunded, overrated, and I don't understand them, says politician. I like this game. Okay. I'm not sure what that probably hurts. And I'm okay. I don't know if I can control the direction that I'm going, but again, I'll just try to get through this. Press A to switch directions. There it is. That makes it interesting. We're just going here. Oh, that looks bad. There's a flow to that. I can get behind that. If I can go through them fast enough, it doesn't matter, yeah. I guess if I was collecting money, this might be more of an issue. I died. Oh, caught myself in midair. Is there something? Do I get something for that? We are just going. That's got to be the Mona Lisa. Leave your calling card. Move the brush with this. Hold A to draw, B to skip. Wow, I think we're going full on Etch-a-Sketch here. Ooh, a lot of pressure here. 40 seconds. Can I do it? Diagonal is just as hard. Does the crank do anything? Crank does not do anything. Let's leave some sort of brand appropriate thing. Can I just make that the new logo? Oh, we need the underscores. Here we go. Underscore. I kind of already did an underscore there. Let's do another one just because it's going to look more complicated. Love it. Look at that calling card. That's actually not bad. I don't hate it. In that it looks messed up, and I think that's appropriate. Reel him in. So I'm guessing we need to avoid the same. It is kind of hard to find a way to hold this to do the crank in the A thing. Going. Is top speed going to be enough just to not die? Looks like it. Bring it in. Bring it in. I don't know that I needed to go through this entire thing for you, but I guess maybe you do get an idea for how nice the screen is by way of that screen capture, which also pretty nice. The app is called Mirror. All right, I probably edited through some of that, but very cool, especially for, was this one of the free games? This was one of the free games, I think. The other free game, if you're wondering, I'll open it up for you right now. Recommendation Dog, which would be an okay name for this series of videos as well. I have no experience with big loops, but again, this with good reason is a game that you'll hear a lot about. This one right here, Time Travel Adventure, made me laugh, so can't go wrong there. But that's it. As you can see, pretty great, and I'm pretty happy. I think we just had a play date.